Ah, the age-old search for the perfect electric guitar. Something everyone goes through, right? And then you find it, but a couple months later you find something about it you don't like. Or your budget expands, or you just want something a little different. Tale as old as time. But let me tell you, Fender, you were this close to making my perfect guitar. Let me tell you about it. Well, actually, let me tell you about a bunch of different guitars that I own, and the thing I love about them, that if someone put them all into the one guitar, it would be perfect. Now, I'm a firm believer that the Stratocaster is the perfect guitar shape. Curvy, beautiful, well-balanced, and looks great in pretty much every color. So obviously, the perfect guitar would need to have a Strat body, like my 60th anniversary American Standard. Now, in terms of color, I love Fiesta Red. Anyone that knows me knows I love Fiesta Red. In fact, I had a Squier 50s Classic Vibe in Fiesta Red, the Strat, which I absolutely loved, that I sold a few years ago because it didn't really play as well as I wanted it to. But man, that thing looked beautiful. So clearly my perfect guitar would need to be Fiesta Red. Now to the most important part of a guitar, the neck. Now I used to be a maple fretboard guy. That's why both my American Standard Tele and Strat have maple fretboards. But in recent years, I have been a convert to the dark side of the Force with rosewood, much like my PRS SE, which, fun fact, is the best playing guitar out of the box I've ever owned. I might make a video on it. I just think rosewood feels and honestly looks a whole lot better than maple. In addition to the fretboard being rosewood, I've absolutely fallen in love with a roasted maple neck, much like my Veritas right here. There's just something about a roasted maple neck that feels warm and toasty, if that makes sense. And if you haven't tried a roasted maple neck yet, you are missing out on some of the creamiest s'mores of your life. Neck shape is also pretty important, a little less important for me personally, but I have a lot of guitars that have a C, a modern C, and I like that. I have pretty big hands, so something a little thicker might be nice, but I definitely don't want like a big 50s baseball bat. The last piece on the neck that I'll mention, which is also on my Veritas actually, is fretboard radius. I never used to really care so much about this, but being a Strat guy, you know, the 7.5 to the 9.5 inch was always where I usually landed. But honestly, ever since I got the Veritas, this has a 12-inch fretboard radius, very flat, and I actually really, really like it. So my ideal guitar would have to have something pretty flat. What about headstock? There's really only one answer here, and that is the classic American headstock shape from Fender. It's almost like I love Strats and I should just buy a Strat. But there's something else on the headstock that's pretty important. This is my 7th day custom Tele. What do you notice about the headstock? See anything that's missing? That's right, a string tree. Now, why is that important? Honestly, it's not important. But one, I like the look, and two, I feel like it adds a certain top-end chiminess because it allows those top strings to ring out a little bit more. Who knows if that's actually true, but I think it is. Now, what about the pickguard and controls? I love a mint green pickguard, especially on that Fiesta Red color, and especially if it's going to be 3-ply, so it has that little black stripe running around the entire outside of it. Creates some nice definition. And I also want 3 single coil Strat pickups. But with the electronics, I like to add something a little bit different. On that classic vibe Strat I was talking about, I had the Emerson blend wiring. And what that allowed, that turned the second tone knob into a blend circuit, which blended in the humbucker with any other pickup that was currently selected. And I loved it. I'm not saying it has to be that, but it has to be something that gives me extra tonal variance. But now to answer the question, did Fender actually make my ultimate guitar? Oh my, they were so close. This is the American Professional GT11 Strat. Now let's see what they got right, working from the top down. The classic Strat headstock with no string tree, an 11-inch rosewood fretboard with a roasted maple neck in an oval C carve. Looking good so far. Fiesta Red body with a mint green pickguard. 3 custom shop 60s fat pickups with a push-push tone, which blends in the neck pickup with any other pickup. Now that's some good tonal variety. This guitar takes everything I love about all of those other guitars and smashes it into one beautiful Strat. They even removed the backplate, which I do on every one of my Strats, because apparently that improves sustain. I don't know if it does. So is this my perfect Strat? No. You've already seen this guitar in the video, my Veritas, but this guitar has something none of my other guitars have that I absolutely fell in love with and would absolutely need to be on my perfect guitar, and that is a Bigsby. I absolutely love the sound of a Bigsby, and my perfect guitar would need to have that. Do I hate the Fender Trem? Absolutely not. I think it's got a great sound, but I really prefer the B5 Bigsby. But Fender, oh Fender, you came so close to making my perfect guitar. How close? What do you think?